I pulled into the driveway after 3 weeks away, headlights cutting through the Friday night darkness. Every light in the house was on. That should have made me happy, should have felt like a warm welcome home. But something felt wrong. There were too many cars parked along the curb, my wife's sedan, her parents' truck, her sister's SUV, and a black vehicle I did not recognize. My heart hammered as I grabbed my suitcase from the trunk. I thought maybe they were throwing me a surprise party. I had no idea my entire world was about to shatter in the next 60 seconds. Before I tell you what happened when I opened that door, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what you are about to hear will show you that silence can be the most powerful weapon you will ever have. Now let me take you back to that moment. My name is Washington, and I am 35 years old. I work as a construction engineer, the kind of job that sounds impressive at dinner parties, but really just means I spend half my life on job sites and the other half in hotels across the country. For 12 years, I thought I had built something solid. A marriage to Lauren, my wife of 32 years old, who worked in marketing. A son named Wyatt, 13 years old, who loved basketball and video games. A house in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado, with a 2-car garage and a backyard big enough for barbecues. We looked perfect from the outside, the kind of family you see in commercials. But I guess I was too busy laying foundations for skyscrapers to notice the cracks forming in my own home. Lauren used to complain sometimes. Little comments here and there about me being gone too much, about missing Wyatt's games, about her handling everything alone. I thought it was normal. Every working parent hears that stuff, right? I told myself I was providing, building our future, making sure we had security. I thought she understood. This last trip to Seattle had been 3 weeks long. I was overseeing the construction of a 30-story building downtown, managing crews, dealing with permits, solving problems that only showed up at 2 in the morning. It was the kind of project that could make my career. I called home every night without fail. But over those 3 weeks, something changed. Lauren's voice got distant. Our conversations got shorter. She used to ask about my day, tell me funny stories about Wyatt, complain about her boss. But toward the end, she would answer in one word, sentences. Fine. Okay. Tired. I asked if everything was all right, and she said she was just stressed at work. One night, I heard a man's voice in the background. Not loud, just there. When I asked about it, Lauren said it was the air conditioning repair guy. It was 10 at night, but I did not push it. I trusted her. Even Wyatt started acting strange on the phone. My son, who usually talked my ear off about his basketball team and his friends, suddenly had nothing to say. Our calls went from 20 minutes to 3 minutes. When I asked what was wrong, he just said he had homework. I felt this gnawing anxiety in my chest, but I pushed it down. I told myself I was being paranoid, that being away from home was making me imagine things. So I decided to finish the project early and surprise them. I worked 16-hour days, got everything buttoned up, and drove straight through from Seattle to Denver. 11 hours on the road, fueled by coffee and the thought of walking through my front door. I expected hugs, maybe Wyatt running to greet me, Lauren smiling, telling me she missed me. Instead, I got the scene from a nightmare. The front door was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped into the living room, and every single person turned to look at me like I was the intruder. Lauren sat on the couch next to a man I had never seen before. He was maybe 40 years old, wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than my truck payment. And they were holding hands. My in-laws, Susan and Richard, sat in the armchairs across from them. Their faces were stern, almost rehearsed. Lauren's sister, Brittany, stood against the wall with her arms crossed, looking at me like I owed her money. And Wyatt, my son, sat on the ottoman with his head down, not making eye contact. Nobody smiled. Nobody stood up. Nobody said welcome home. They just stared at me. And I knew this was planned. This was an ambush. They had been waiting for me. I opened my mouth to ask what was going on, but before I could get a word out, Wyatt stood up. My son, my boy, who used to run into my arms when I came home, looked at me with eyes I did not recognize. Cold, hard. Like someone had taught him how to hate me. And then he said it. Dad, your time is over. Mom is happier with him now. You need to leave. The words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. I could not breathe. I could not think. My brain was trying to process what I just heard, but it did not make sense. This was my son, the kid I taught to ride a bike, the kid I stayed up with when he had nightmares, and he was telling me to leave my own house. I looked at Lauren, waiting for her to say something, to tell Wyatt that was not appropriate, to explain what was happening. But she did not. She just sat there holding that man's hand, looking at me like I was the problem. The man cleared his throat. He had the audacity to smile, a polite, condescending smile that made my blood boil. Washington, he said like we were old friends. My name is Garrett. I am Lauren's supervisor at the marketing firm. I think we need to have an honest conversation here. He paused, waiting for me to respond. I did not. I just stood there, suitcase still in my hand. Lauren and I have been seeing each other for 6 months, Garrett continued. His voice was calm, measured, like he was explaining a business deal. I did not plan for this to happen, but sometimes life takes you in unexpected directions. Lauren deserves to be with someone who is actually present, someone who prioritizes her. 6 months, half a year. While I was working 70-hour weeks to pay for this house, this life, she was with him. I finally found my voice. Lauren, what is he talking about? She sighed like I was being difficult. Washington, you are never here. You have not been here for years. I needed someone who actually saw me, who listened to me. Garrett understands me in ways you never did. I was working, I said, and I hated how weak my voice sounded. I was working for us, for this family. No, she shot back. You were working for you, for your career. You did not care that I was drowning, that Wyatt needed his father. Garrett was there for us. Garrett put his arm around her shoulders. I do not want to make this harder than it needs to be, Washington. But Lauren deserves to be happy. And honestly, so does Wyatt. I have been taking him to his basketball practices, helping him with his homework. I have been the father figure he needed. I looked at Wyatt, waiting for him to contradict that. To tell this stranger he was not his father. But Wyatt just stared at the floor. Mom cried because of you so many times, Wyatt mumbled. Garrett took me to practice. He came to my games. Where were you? Every word was a knife. And the worst part was, I could not argue. I had missed games. I had missed dinners. I had been so focused on building a future that I forgot to show up for the present. But this was not the answer. Susan Lauren's mother leaned forward. Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. Washington, honey, you know we love you. We have always loved you. But Lauren needs a partner who is actually there. You cannot blame her for finding that with someone else. Richard nodded. Garrett is a good man. We have gotten to know him over the past few months. He treats Lauren well. He is good with Wyatt. You have to understand, son, this is not about you being a bad person. It is just about compatibility. I felt like I was in a courtroom where the verdict had already been decided. Everyone had already chosen their side, and I was not on it. Then Brittany pushed off the wall and walked toward me. She had this smug look on her face, like she was enjoying this. Honestly, Washington, my sister has been miserable for years, Brittany said. I am the one who introduced her to Garrett. I could see she needed someone better, so I set them up at a work event. You should actually be thanking me for helping her find happiness. I stared at her. Lauren's own sister had orchestrated this. I think, Brittany continued, that we have been pretty generous by waiting for you to come home to have this conversation. We could have just changed the locks and left your stuff on the lawn. But we wanted to be respectful. Respectful? That word almost made me laugh. Lauren reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. She held it out to me. "These are divorce papers," she said, her voice flat. "I have already spoken to a lawyer. Everything is ready. You just need to sign. We can make this easy, Washington, or we can make it hard. Your choice." "I am moving in here," Garrett added like it was already settled, "to help Lauren and Wyatt transition. It makes the most sense." Susan nodded. "We think it is best if you find somewhere else to stay tonight, Washington. Give everyone some space to process." Richard added, "This is for the best. For everyone." I looked around the room one more time. At my wife who had betrayed me, at the man who had stolen my family, at my in-laws who had chosen him over me, at my sister-in-law who had orchestrated the whole thing, at my son who could not even look at me. 12 years of marriage, 13 years of being a father, 35 years of trying to do the right thing. And this was how it ended. In my own living room, surrounded by people I thought loved me being told to leave. I felt rage. I felt heartbreak. I felt humiliation. But underneath all of it, I felt something else. Clarity. These people did not deserve an explanation. They did not deserve my anger. They did not deserve anything from me. So I did not give them anything. I stood there for 30 seconds not saying a word. I looked at each of them. Really looked. I wanted to remember this moment. Remember their faces. Remember who they really were. Garrett still holding Lauren's hand, looking pleased with himself. Brittany smirking like she had won some kind of game. Susan and Richard avoiding my eyes, probably feeling guilty, but not guilty enough to stand up for me. Lauren staring at me with impatience, like I was wasting her time. And Wyatt, head down, shoulders hunched. I picked up my suitcase, turned toward the door, and started walking. "Washington," Lauren called after me. "The papers. You need to sign them." I did not turn around. I did not respond. I just opened the door, walked out, and closed it behind me with a soft click. I got in my truck and drove. I did not know where I was going. I just drove until I found a hotel near the highway, a cheap place with flickering neon signs and a front desk clerk who did not ask questions. I checked into a single room, carried my suitcase inside, and sat on the edge of the bed. The room smelled like cleaning chemicals and old carpet. The walls were thin enough that I could hear the television in the next room, but it was quiet. And in that quiet, my brain finally started working again. I did not cry. I did not scream. I just sat there staring at the wall, feeling absolutely nothing. It was like someone had reached into my chest and pulled out everything that made me human. I was hollow. I must have fallen asleep eventually because I woke up to my phone vibrating so hard it was shaking the nightstand. I grabbed it, squinting at the screen. The time read 7:43 in the morning, and I had 118 missed calls. 118. I scrolled through the call log. Lauren had called 42 times, Susan 35 times, Brittany 26 times, Richard 15 times, and Wyatt. 3 calls from Wyatt all around 3 in the morning. The text messages were worse. Lauren: "Washington, you need to sign the papers. Do not make this difficult." Lauren: "I need you to respond. We have things to figure out." Lauren: "You cannot just ignore this situation." Susan: "Sweetheart, please call me back. We need to talk about this like adults." Susan: "You are being childish. Just call us." Brittany: "Seriously? You are really going to act like this? Grow up." Brittany: "Stop being dramatic and deal with this." Richard: "Son, I know you are upset, but we need to discuss next steps." But it was Wyatt's message that made me pause. "Dad, I am sorry. Please call me back." Just that. Nothing else. Sent at 3:14 in the morning. I stared at that message for a long time. My son had been awake at 3 in the morning texting me. Something was wrong. Something more than what I had seen last night. But I did not call back. Not yet. Because I needed to think. Really think. I turned off my phone, took a shower, and got dressed. Then I went to the hotel lobby, got a coffee, and sat down with a notepad. I started writing everything down. Every detail from last night. Every word that was said. Every person who was there. I needed to see it all clearly. And as I wrote, something became obvious. This was not just a betrayal. This was planned. Calculated. They had rehearsed that whole scene. The way they were all sitting when I walked in. The way they each had their lines ready. The way even Wyatt knew exactly what to say. They wanted me to react, to yell, to lose control. So they could point to me and say, "See, this is why we are doing this. He is unstable. He is angry. He is dangerous." But I had not given them that. I had walked away. And now they were panicking. That was why they were calling. Not because they felt bad, but because I had not followed their script. I finished my coffee, opened my laptop, and started doing research. I looked up divorce lawyers. I read articles about adultery laws in Colorado. I learned about custody agreements and asset division and everything else I should have known but never thought I would need to know. And then I made a call. "Hughes and Associates, how may I help you?" "I need to speak with Bradley Hughes," I said. "I need a divorce lawyer, a good one." Monday morning, I sat across from Bradley Hughes in his downtown office. He was in his late 50s with gray hair and sharp eyes that did not miss anything. His office was lined with law books and framed degrees. He poured me a cup of coffee and leaned back in his chair. "Tell me everything," he said. So I did. I told him about coming home, about Lauren and Garrett, about my in-laws and Brittany, about Wyatt's rehearsed speech, about the divorce papers Lauren tried to hand me. I told him everything, leaving nothing out. When I finished, Bradley was quiet for a moment, tapping his pen against his notepad. "Do you have any proof of the affair?" he asked. "Just what I saw," I said. "Them holding hands. Garrett admitting they had been together for 6 months." "That might not be enough," Bradley said carefully. "Colorado is a no-fault divorce state, which means adultery does not automatically affect asset division, but it can matter for custody. If we can prove that Lauren exposed your son to an inappropriate relationship, that she brought her affair partner into your home while Wyatt was present, we have leverage." "How do we prove that?" Bradley looked at me. "Do you have any security cameras? Any way to access records of who was coming and going from your house?" I froze. I had completely forgotten. "I do," I said slowly. "I installed security cameras last year after there were some break-ins in the neighborhood. They are connected to cloud storage. I can access them from my phone." Bradley smiled. "Then I suggest you access them now." I pulled out my laptop right there in his office and logged into the security system. The cameras covered the front door, the back door, and the living room. I scrolled back through the footage going back 3 months. And there it was. Everything. Garrett coming to the house on a Tuesday afternoon in August while I was in Phoenix. Lauren answering the door, kissing him. Them going inside. Garrett picking up Wyatt from school, the two of them laughing as they walked in. A video from September. Lauren and Garrett in the kitchen. Him pressing her against the counter. Them kissing. Another clip, this one from October. Brittany sitting at the dining table with Lauren, the two of them talking. The audio was faint, but I could make out some words. Brittany saying, "When Washington finds out, you will get half of everything. And remember, you promised me 15% for setting this up." I felt sick, but I kept watching. There was Wyatt walking into the living room and seeing Garrett with his arm around Lauren on the couch. Wyatt stopping confused. Lauren standing up, pulling Wyatt aside. I could not hear what she said, but I saw her mouth the words, "Do not tell your dad." I downloaded everything, every clip, every piece of evidence. I saved it to 3 different drives. Bradley watched over my shoulder, nodding. This is good. This is very good. Now let us talk about assets. What do you and Lauren own together? The house is in my name only, I said. I bought it before we got married. She is not on the deed. That is excellent, Bradley said, making a note. What about bank accounts? We have a joint account for household expenses, but my salary goes into my personal account first, then I transfer money as needed. Most of our savings are in accounts under my name. Good. Do not transfer any more money into the joint account. In fact, I recommend moving your money out of that joint account immediately. It is your income. You have every right to protect it. I nodded, already pulling up my banking app. What about investments, retirement accounts? All in my name. I set them up through my company. Bradley smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a lawyer who knew he had a winning case. Washington, here is what we are going to do, he said, leaning forward. We are going to file for divorce first. We are going to submit all of this video evidence showing Lauren's adultery and her pattern of bringing her affair partner around your minor child. We are going to request primary custody of Wyatt based on the fact that Lauren has created an unstable and inappropriate home environment. And we are going to request that Lauren and her boyfriend vacate your house immediately, since your name is the only one on the deed. Can we do that? We absolutely can, Bradley said. And if her sister was involved in planning this, if she was expecting financial compensation from your divorce, we can bring a claim against her as well, for conspiracy to commit fraud. For the first time in 3 days, I felt something other than emptiness. I felt power. How long will this take? I asked. I can have the paperwork filed by Wednesday. They will be served by Friday. Do it, I said. I spent that week in the hotel working remotely and avoiding every call that came through. Lauren called 30 more times. So did Susan and Brittany. I did not answer. I did not text back. I just let them wonder. I called my boss, Douglas, and explained what was happening. He was a good man in his 60s, with 3 grown kids of his own. Washington, I am sorry you are going through this, he said. Take whatever time you need. And if you need a character reference for court, I will write you the best damn letter you have ever seen. You are one of the most dedicated, hardworking men I know. Any judge would be lucky to have you as a father figure in their courtroom. Thank you, sir, I said. That means a lot. On Friday afternoon, Bradley called me. It is done, he said. Lauren, Garrett, and Brittany have all been served. How did they react? According to the process server, Lauren turned white and started shaking. Garrett tried to refuse the documents, which obviously did not work, and Brittany started screaming about how this was illegal. I almost smiled. Almost. Lauren has been trying to call my office nonstop, Bradley continued. I told my assistant to inform her that all communication needs to go through her lawyer. Do not engage with her directly. Do not respond to calls or texts. Let me handle everything. Understood, I said. That night my phone rang 63 times. I watched every call come in, watched every angry text populate my screen. But I did not respond. Not to any of them. I just watched. And then, at 11:30 at night, Wyatt called. I answered on the first ring. Dad. His voice was small, scared. He was crying. I am here, buddy, I said. I am here. Dad, I am so sorry. He was sobbing now, barely able to get the words out. Mom and Aunt Brittany made me say those things. They practiced with me for days. They said if I did not say it, you would take me away, and I would never see Mom again. They said you were going to hurt us. But you did not. You just left. And now everything is so messed up and I do not know what to do. My heart broke all over again. They had used my son, coached him, scared him, turned him into a weapon against me. Wyatt, listen to me, I said, keeping my voice steady, even though I wanted to scream. None of this is your fault. Not one bit of it. You were put in an impossible situation by adults who should have protected you. I am not angry at you. I could never be angry at you. I did not want you to leave, he cried. I did not want any of this. Garrett is not my dad. He is weird, and he is always trying too hard. And Mom has been crying all the time since you left, and Grandma and Aunt Brittany keep yelling at each other, and I just want everything to go back to normal. I know, I said. I know you do, but it cannot go back, buddy. Sometimes things break, and you cannot fix them. You can only build something new. Can I build something new with you? He asked quietly. Absolutely, I said. We are going to figure this out together. I promise. We talked for another hour. I let him cry. I let him apologize over and over, even though he had nothing to apologize for. And when he finally calmed down, I told him I loved him. I love you too, Dad, he whispered. More than anything. After we hung up, I sat in that hotel room and made a decision. I was not just going to win this divorce. I was going to make sure my son never had to choose between parents who manipulated him. I was going to give him a home where he felt safe, where he did not have to be a pawn in someone else's game. And I was going to do it the right way, through the legal system, with evidence and truth on my side. The next 3 months were brutal. Court hearings, depositions, back and forth negotiations. Lauren hired her own lawyer, a woman who tried every tactic in the book to paint me as an absent workaholic who abandoned his family. But Bradley was better. He played the security footage in court, every clip of Garrett and Lauren together, every instance of Brittany discussing her cut of the divorce settlement. The judge watched without expression, but I could see the disapproval in her eyes. Lauren's lawyer argued that my long work hours constituted abandonment. Bradley countered with my employment records showing I had worked those hours to provide for my family and with statements from Douglas about my character. When Wyatt was called to speak with the family court counselor, he told the truth. He said he loved his mom, but he did not feel safe in that house anymore. He said Garrett made him uncomfortable. He said he wanted to live with me. The counselor's report was scathing. She noted that Lauren had prioritized her extramarital relationship over her son's emotional well-being, that she had involved Wyatt in adult conflicts, that she had allowed her sister to manipulate the situation for financial gain. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, the judge issued her ruling. I got primary custody of Wyatt. Lauren would have visitation every other weekend and 1 evening per week supervised for the first 3 months. Because the house was in my name alone, purchased before marriage, it remained my sole property. Lauren was ordered to vacate within 30 days. Asset division was minimal because most of our assets were in my name. Lauren received a small settlement, barely enough to cover first and last month's rent on an apartment. The judge also issued a restraining order preventing Brittany from contacting Wyatt until he turned 18. She had crossed a line by involving herself in a custody matter for financial gain. As for Garrett, his life fell apart separately. His wife found out about the affair and filed for divorce. His company forced him to resign after the scandal became public. Lauren kept calling him, but he stopped answering. Turns out he was only interested when she came with money and stability. Now that she had neither, he wanted nothing to do with her. Susan and Richard called me a week after the judgment. They apologized. They said they had been manipulated by Brittany and Lauren, that they did not understand the full situation. I appreciated the apology, but I told them I needed time. Maybe someday we could rebuild something. But not yet. Wyatt and I moved to a smaller house in Boulder, about an hour from Denver. It was a fresh start. New schools, new neighborhood, new everything. The first few months were hard. Wyatt had nightmares. He blamed himself for what happened. We went to therapy together, just the two of us, every Thursday afternoon. Slowly, he started to heal. I changed my work situation too. I told Douglas I could not do long trips anymore. He understood and moved me to local projects only. It meant less money, but I did not care. I had enough. And I had something more important now: time with my son. We developed new routines. Breakfast together every morning. I drove him to school. We cooked dinner together at night, even though half the time we burned things or ordered pizza instead. We played basketball in the driveway. We watched movies on Friday nights. We talked. Really talked. Wyatt started opening up more. He told me how Garrett used to make him feel like he had to compete for his mom's attention. How Brittany used to say mean things about me when I was not around. How lonely he felt keeping secrets. I thought if I was good enough, everyone would be happy, he said one night while we were doing dishes. But I realize now that was not my job. You are right, I told him. Your only job is to be a kid. To learn and grow and figure out who you are, not to fix broken adults. He smiled at that. It was the first real smile I had seen in months. I started taking care of myself too. I joined a gym and went every morning. I started running. I tried yoga, which was harder than it looked. I reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with during the marriage. I joined a hiking club and spent weekends on Colorado trails, sometimes with Wyatt, sometimes alone. And slowly, I started to feel like myself again. Not the version of myself I had been before, but someone new, someone stronger, someone who knew his worth. About a year after the divorce was finalized, I met someone. Her name was Nora. She was a teacher at Wyatt's school, a woman with kind eyes and a quick laugh. We met at a parent-teacher conference where she told me Wyatt was doing great in her class. We ran into each other again at a coffee shop, then again at the grocery store. Eventually, I asked if she wanted to grab dinner sometime. She said yes. Nora was divorced too. She had a daughter 10 years old who was shy but sweet. We took things slow, really slow. Dinner turned into more dinners, then hikes, then family outings with the kids. Wyatt liked her. That was the most important part. He told me she was nice, that she did not try too hard. That was his way of saying he approved. I was not in a rush. I had learned that lesson. Building something real takes time. It takes presence. It takes showing up every single day and choosing that person over and over. I did not know if Nora and I would last forever, but I knew I was doing it differently this time. I knew I was showing up. One Saturday morning, about 18 months after everything fell apart, Wyatt and I were sitting on the back porch eating pancakes. The sun was coming up over the mountains, painting everything gold and orange. "Dad," Wyatt said, syrup on his chin, "are you happy?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "Yeah," I said, "I am." "Me too," he said. And that was enough. I learned a lot from what happened. I learned that silence is not weakness, that walking away from chaos is not giving up, that protecting your peace is not selfish. I learned that not everyone who says they love you actually does, that some people will use your goodness against you, that loyalty is not a given even in family. But I also learned that you can survive what you think will destroy you, that you can rebuild, that you can choose yourself and still be a good person. If someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Do not wait for a second chance to hurt you. I wish I had paid attention to the small signs earlier, to Lauren's distance, to the way she blamed me for everything. But I was too busy trying to hold it all together to see that it was already broken. Wyatt is 16 now. He is taller than me. He is on the varsity basketball team. He has friends and plans and dreams. He visits his mom sometimes, but their relationship is still strained. Lauren tried to rebuild, but some things cannot be fixed. Brittany moved to another state. We never speak. Richard and Susan see Wyatt occasionally, but there is a distance there that will probably never close. Some betrayals are too deep. As for me, I am doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I have a life I built intentionally this time. A life based on truth instead of obligation. A life where I do not have to second guess whether people actually care about me. I think about that night sometimes, walking into my house and being ambushed, being told by my 13-year-old son that my time was over, having 118 missed calls the next day because I did not follow their script. And I think about the decision I made to walk away without saying a word. That was the moment everything changed. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because staying in that room fighting with people who had already decided I was the villain would have only given them ammunition, would have only made things worse. Sometimes walking away is not giving up. It is choosing yourself. It is refusing to participate in your own destruction. It is recognizing that you deserve better, even when everyone around you says you do not. And that is the bravest thing you can ever do. So if you are watching this, and you are in a situation where everyone is telling you that you are wrong, that you are the problem, that you need to change or leave, or accept something unacceptable, I want you to know this. You have permission to walk away. You have permission to protect yourself. You have permission to choose peace over chaos, even if it means standing alone. Your silence can be your power. Your absence can be your answer. And sometimes the best thing you can do is refuse to play a game that was rigged against you from the start. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have walked away like I did? Or would you have stayed and fought? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about survival strength and starting over. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to choose themselves. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that even in your darkest moment, you are stronger than you think. Take care of yourself, and remember you deserve people who show up for you the way you show up for them.